The moment I pushed open the heavy glass door to conference room B, the dimmed lights hit me like a warning. The chairs still held the faint warmth of recent bodies, and that unmistakable scent of expensive cologne hung in the air. Sharp and artificial. The kind that precedes bad decisions made by men in power suits. I had come expecting to deliver the defense pitch myself, the one I'd poured 9 grueling months into. Every line of intricate code, every export-controlled schematic, every painstaking prototype test run under my direct supervision in the secure lab. It was my creation. Born from sleepless nights fueled by black coffee and sheer determination to build something that could protect lives in the field. But there he was, Victor Kane, the VP of Operations, leaning back in the executive chair with that chiseled jaw and slicked-back hair that screamed calculated charm. His Rolex gleamed under the low lights, probably authentic this time, paid for by bonuses he hadn't earned. He didn't meet my eyes when he spoke. Just muttered casually. "We handled the Pentagon briefing last night. Use the deck." As if it were a team effort. As if I hadn't flagged every single slide for compliance checks, version control, and legal review myself. He slid a warm printed copy across the polished table. V27 Final. It read on the cover. My actual final version was V31. Locked securely in our encrypted SharePoint with access tied to my credentials. The only person to touch it last had been me. 3 nights prior. After another marathon session. Page 2 was missing entirely, that critical disclaimer slide with the export control language. The classified footnotes requiring dual sign-offs from compliance and the facility security officer. Legally required. Not optional. He'd stripped it out like it was a typo. I paused, letting the realization sink in slow and cold. These executives always underestimated the systems people like me, the ones who actually built the tech. They saw us as replaceable scaffolding while they took the spotlight. But I didn't explode. I didn't yell. I just picked up the deck, slid it into my leather portfolio, and nodded once. "Appreciate the update," I said, voice steady as stone. Victor's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second. He expected a scene, accusations flying. But I've learned in these rooms you don't shout. You document. You verify. You let the evidence build quietly. Back in my office, coat still on, I dove straight into the logs on my secure terminal. There it was at 2:11 a.m., login from Victor's assistant's badge. File accessed. Downloaded. Renamed locally. No approval chain. No compliance tags, just raw arrogance thinking the system wouldn't notice. The calendar invite for my pitch? Gone. Quietly deleted from the chain as if I'd never been part of it. A deliberate cut to keep me sidelined. Then I spotted it on slide 6, my canary phrase. Echo phantom resonance. Innocuous sounding. But it only existed in my internal redline drafts. Never meant for live decks. It was my invisible trap. A digital watermark to detect unauthorized use. Now printed and presented to the Pentagon? That crossed into federal territory, ETAR violations, export controls, potential CUI breaches. They hadn't just stolen credit. They'd exposed restricted material in a way that could trigger audits, fines, even investigations. Rage simmered, but I sharpened it. This wasn't personal pride anymore. It was about the prototype itself, a secure communications system designed for real-world threats. Lives depending on its integrity. Victor thought he could parade it like a trophy. I opened my compliance folder, reviewing every sign-off, every warning email I'd sent weeks earlier. Do not present versions below V31 without approval. The prototype key on slide 14 authenticated only to my lab instance. Under my biometric license. Present the wrong version. And it would soft lock, timestamping the failure. I drafted a precise message to our facility security officer, a simple query confirming clearances for the briefing. No accusations. Just bait. Then an email to the federal contracting officer noting version discrepancies and required disclaimers. Attachments avoided to prevent panic. The reply came faster than expected, cold. Professional. Confirm presenter. Classification. And disclaimer presence. Momentum was building. I sat there breathing deliberately, jaw set, staring at the rain starting to streak the window. 9 months of my life poured into this. Late nights validating threads. Migraines during compliance reviews. And now this. But I wouldn't storm offices. I'd let the paper trail do the talking, timestamps, hashes, logs forming an unbreakable chain. The stairwell call came next. 2 flights down where concrete walls muffled everything. Kneeling on a cold step, phone pressed to my ear. I kept my tone flat. Can you confirm the presenter clearances for last night's briefing? File appears to be V27. The FSO paused, then promised a check. 10 minutes later, confirmation. Victor wasn't fully cleared for that content level. And my name was absent from logs. Meanwhile, SharePoint history revealed deeper issues. Downloads with version control disabled, a deliberate act adding red flags. I exported full audit trails, printed on letterhead, highlighted deltas in red. Badge logs showed Victor hadn't even visited the restricted lab recently. Yet the deck referenced my A9 prototype key, tied exclusively to my biometric login. Any demo attempt would fail spectacularly. I pulled my leather notebook, worn pages holding handwritten checksums for V31. My initials beside the 64-character hash jotted at 1:47 a.m. The final night. Page 117 held the proof. V27's metadata wouldn't match. This wasn't paranoia, it was preparation. In defense contracting, one misplaced phrase could invite federal scrutiny, turning oversight into a full inquiry. The contracting officer's response landed like a scalpel, requesting details on classification and disclaimer. I forwarded chains looping in the FSO, including my prior warnings. Silence followed, not empty, but the heavy federal kind where wheels turn behind closed doors. Upstairs, I checked the investor portal on a hunch. There it was, the deck uploaded verbatim at 7:03 a.m. Final label. No redactions. Page 6 carried my canary phrase into civilian hands, military-adjacent claims traceable to an unvalidated prototype. Export control breach layered on top of unauthorized presentation. Screenshot. Print. Circle the phrase. Sign and date like a forensic record. Inbox pinged again. Director requesting audit by end of day. The air in the office shifted. Colleagues sensed it. Conversations hushed in hallways. Ozone before lightning. I leaned back, hands folded, watching clouds gather. Victor had hijacked the brief for glory and investor leverage. But I own the engine, the license, the instance, the black box recorder of truth. If they flew without me, the crash would be documented meticulously. Hours blurred into deliberate assembly, more logs. Notebook entries adding the unauthorized access timestamp. No wasted motion. Just precision. The truth was sharpening like a surgeon's blade. They arrived post-lunch, 2 agents in crisp suits. Clipped IDs. Moving through reception with practice calm. One from DoD compliance. The other unidentified but sharp-eyed. I was pulled into the conference room where Victor sat, collar stiff, forcing that tight chuckle. We kept it high level, he waved at the screen. The taller agent clicked his pen. Confirm presenter. Classification level. And if the page 2 disclaimer was included. Victor blinked, fumbling. They turned to me. You authored V31? I confirmed, sliding my notebook across. Checksum for the true final. Page 2 disclaimer. A 9 key details. Demo the license lockout. I mirrored my phone to the screen. Authentication, handshake. Then soft lock on the copied environment. Instance owner required. Biometric ping unlocked the real instance seamlessly. The room exhaled quietly. The quiet agent revealed my 5-week-old email warning against sub V31 presentations. Victor sputtered about team assumptions and moving fast. Agents cut him off. You bypassed federal controls. Defense counsel called recess. Eyes shifted, board members watching Victor's every twitch now. In the smaller strategy room later, Director Karen Chong asked if I could stabilize. I presented my one-pager. Reinstate V31. Corrective memo. Rebrief with my presence. Quarantine investor materials. Audit failures. Mandated training. They blinked at the license clause. Unauthorized presentation triggers IP revert to my LLC temporarily. Valid. Signed years ago. What do you want? One asked. Compliance, lead role. My oversight. License back under audit. Victor out if I stay. Silence settled. Calculating. Kara nodded. Draft the reissue. The remediation agreement took hours and multiple drafts. Legal push to soften. I insisted on precision. Non-compliant presentations trigger review. Licensing stays with originator. Biometric required. They typed verbatim. Victor vanished into administrative leave. HR memo arriving with finality. Program now under my contractual control. Special compliance. Lead with autonomy. Oversight budget. Mandatory exec training. Prototype license back via my LLC as subcontractor. Lab tied to my biometrics. Final release rights mine. Consent memo locked V31 as sole version. Mandatory disclaimer. Verified hash. Agents copied on send-off. Hierarchy shifted subtly. Nods in hallways. Triple checks on versions. Compliance became my name. I didn't celebrate. This salvaged a mission nearly lost to arrogance. 57 contractors' jobs. Field testing. Procurement hopes for troops. I drafted the corrective summary. Integrity non-negotiable. Same room. Lights fully on this time. 2 decks side by side. Unauthorized V27 versus V31. I highlighted omissions. Canary phrase as watermark. Cryptographic timestamps matching handwritten hash. Demo. Real instance unlocked via my biometric. Copy stalled with denial. Victor broke. Point wasn't technical. Agents silenced him. Security escorted him out mid-protest. I expanded the authorized deck. Agents accepted corrective plan. Prime countersign license transfer. Board approved structure with milestones. As I packed, sunlight hit my face outside, like permission after 9 months' tension. The deck told the truth under right lighting. People ask what happened. I say integrity prevails when documented right. But the question lingers. How often does corporate greed nearly cost lives before systems catch it? In the end, quiet persistence reclaimed what flash and title could not.